Welcome back to the most professional StarCraft 2 with the current world champion and the Zerg player in the red. It's Team Liquid's Clem. But the only players seem to be able to keep up with him lately on the other side, the Terran and the green, the Italian stallion. It's Reynor. A best-of-5 Terran versus Zerg showdown, where both these players putting their prize money where their mouth is and playing their opponent's race throughout the entire series. This is from Team Basilisk Big Brain Bouts, which on every Friday night on Roddy's channel, we have some great matches. But rarely do we answer such philosophical questions that have been debated by pro gamers and educated YouTube commenters alike for over a decade. Of course, that question being, is my opponent's race or strategy imbalanced, or do I just suck? Well, we'll find out more today. And if you're a fellow seeker of knowledge, it'd be awesome if you could smash that like button and subscribe to maintain such great company and make the number go up. And Jimmy, what are we? One more. 1,434 likes on this video on this cast. And I'll cast another one. And I'll probably do it anyways. I don't know what else I'd do with my life. But thank you for watching. Hopefully you've had a good day so far. And hopefully it's about to get just a little bit better. The first Reaper out of Reynor. Poking and prodding at those lengths. And of course he's going for a 2-Rags Reaper opener. When you have over 10 actions per second on average, microing those Reapers is going to be like second nature. I don't know how experienced Clem is at being bullied by those early Terran units. He's the greatest expert at using them to such infuriating effect. But so far, Reynor bouncing around Queen. Off to the side, a few Zerglings, speed on the way. No quick third out of Clem, didn't sneak a drone out. I know Reynor is well documented as being a top-tier Protoss, actually beating Cyril at least one time with that Protoss play. Of course, Clem, no stranger to beating Cyril recently, but I don't think I've ever seen Clem play Zerg, whereas Reynor occasionally will break out Terran, more often Protoss, but Terran during tournaments, especially lower profile ones. So it'll be very interesting to see when we flip the script if they're still able to read the notes. Stim is on the way. A couple racks easily leading themselves into that early Marine medevac timing. Clem's got his Overlord. It's going to be very odd. Despite, for the first time, or one of the first times in Reynor's career, his name actually making sense, years upon years of muscle memory and just Pavlovian response will make it very hard for me to say Clem Zerglings and Reynor's Reapers. So if it ever gets turned around, well, I do preemptively apologize. Lair's on the way. Banshee, no cloak in production yet for Reynor. We'll see if he opts for it. He just wants it for safety back at home. Relatively quick Lair out of Clem. Knowing, of course, the danger those cloak Banshees can pose. And now, both players just sitting back, macroing up. I expect, especially early on, just your very mid-game oriented gameplay. Both these players are so ridiculously fast, I don't think it will end early. What I mean is, the timings might not be as sharp, but the macro will certainly be nearly as good. So we can expect huge amounts of units just kind of smashing into each other in slightly less precise fashion than we're used to. Now, will we actually be able to notice the difference, or will I hold my pinky up while watching this match and say, oh, indeed, he did not micro that 10% as well as he could have? Or 90% as well. Well, a small amount, a very pedantic amount, whatever that is. Baneling Nest on the way for Clem. And now adding double Evo chamber. Hasn't committed to any other sort of layer tech, just wanted that detection. The creep spread, heading across the map, and so far, that only aggression was the early Reapers. Not even some Hellions to follow it up. Where did those Banshees get to? One Banshee hiding out in the corner, waiting for its cloaking device to come online. Queen's wandering around. And the Reapers leading the charge, a little bit out ahead of himself. Those things run faster than the Marine, so scouting complete, I guess. But Clem, he may have gotten the lair, but he forgot his spore crawlers. The Reapers were just a decoy. As Reynor's Banshee comes in, and has killed 5, 6. I'm great at counting. We've already established this. No spore crawlers at all. So that basic reflex to build anti-air and have some detection failing, Clem. As 10 drones will be slaughtered by the initial Banshee. And he's down to 51 of them. He's building a whole bunch of Banelings, just kind of waiting. Oh, Banshee gets taken out. Queen's able to pick it up. 11 Banelings on the way. Baneling speed. Is he just going to do a Bane bust? Just a casual Bane bust right through the front door? Well, he knows Reynor wants to move out. It is time. And now let's see that Marine micro. Bane speed is done. He stims and splits the Marines immediately. And it's actually Reynor who's going to end up getting the jump on Clem. More barracks on the way behind. Clem has his 4th base up. Hatchery ready to go. And 1-1. Halfway done. Now, Reynor has opted for a single engineering bay with +1 infantry weapons to start. Going to want to upgrade that to 2 of them in an armory as time goes on. So he'll have a slight upgrade advantage as things start off. And without any Banelings here, going to be very hard to deal with the Marines, but slurps them up. They'll expect one of us in the wreckage, brother. Hydralisk Den is on the way. Hydraling Bane. A strong and pretty utilitarian style. Clem with a lot of Banelings in production. Banelings you don't usually want to build until the moment, or at least a couple moments before you need to use them, as they are an investment of Vespene gas. No, not now. Not yet. The Lings and Banes chasing down Reynor, losing track of some of the Marines, only loses 2 on the drop to the left. Tried another drop off to the right side, thinned out as well. But Clem has the Lings and Banes in position. Spore and a Queen going to strongly discourage these Marines from dropping out, but if anyone knows how important those Queens can be, of course, Clem is one of them. Hydra's on the way. Where Clem is long distance mining with the drones. He made his way back, I think just running from that early drop. 69 drones, a nice baseline economy, but upgrading towards 80 now. Reynor pretty hard supply blocked at 133, dropping mules at his 3rd. But Clem is carving out quite an early lead, as he's at 160 to 135 supply. Hydra's Lings and Banes headed across the map. And Reynor, hello? Get off my screen! Clem takes down 2 medevacs with all hands. Reynor clearly looking the other way. Siege tank, target fire, great on the Banelings. Clem comes in from one angle, and Reynor, acutely aware of it, will cut it down immediately. Clem ends up losing most of his Lings and Banes in that fight. And yeah, 13 Banelings. 46. Now, that's a bit of a misnomer there. I think the battle report not counting all the Marines and the medevacs. That's actually important to note. I think I've been misled by it before. But about 10 to 15 more Marines were in those medevacs as they went down. So Reynor makes up a lot of ground by beating back that attack. And Clem now realizing Hive Tech is an option. Infestation Pit is on the way. But Reynor's going to have a strong 2-2 timing. At least that +2 weapons. So now pressing the issue. It's just Marines and medevacs. But do you really need anything else than dudes with drugs and guns? Oh, hell yeah, brother. Targets the Banelings easily. And I think only one more with this army takes down a medevac, but Baneling taking down the Marines are standing their ground. He grinds through all the Zerglings, gets a few Hydras. Baneling's nowhere to be seen. And Clem will have to refill. He's building like 18, 19 creep tumors at once. Both these players really pushing the boundary. Clem is at a casual 1,000 APM. Zerg, there's a lot to do and not a lot of time to do it. Lurker Den's on the way. No Ghost Academy from Reynor. He's got the double factory plays. Marauders in production as well. +2 Carapace. And the Queens are gathering. How many tanks? 6 tanks. He's building Widow Mines. Reynor, an expert in the best ways to use Terran against Zerg, considering he's played against Clem. So Clem also taking some notes, it seems. Lurker Den is on the way, just sitting back, trying to buy some time for the hive tech, but the hive tech is still a long way off. Until you get Lurker range and ideally some Vipers, the medevacs are going to reign supreme in the skies, and oh, no, 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 no! Well, that could have been much worse. Oh, those Marines got a little strung out, but able to be slurped up by the medevacs before the Banelings close in and disaster strikes. But Reynor will be first to max out as Terran. As 2-2 finished. Started on those 3-3 upgrades now, and Ghost Academy and 3 more racks on the way. Six Lurkers for Clem. Ghost Academy just finished, so no hope of them for quite a while yet. Queen's holding the line. Ling Bane trying to close in, but Reynor, great split. I think the most distinct difference so far is how willing Clem, or at least, oh my. Little does Reynor know how close to disaster that he just was. The Baneling mines, he unburrowed them and got a chunk of the Marines and Marauders. And now the Lurkers are on the way. Reynor, I'm sure, very knowledgeable about the strength of ghosts. But they are fragile creatures until they grow their numbers. And then, of course, they hunt in packs. The natural predator of the Zerg. Reynor still has plenty of army to throw around, and Clem doesn't have enough Lurkers to split between his bases. He only has Lings and Banes to the north side, whereas Lurkers are limited to the south. Wants to engage this army and free up some space. Moves the Marines behind the Marauders. Banelings rolling through, but good Marine split. Widow Mines easily dealt with. Lurkers close the distance on the siege tanks. A single Ghost is out using the Nova skin on it. Well, the Special Forces one that has a chance, I think, of Nova showing up. But the Marine Marauder army is rolling through the north side. Is ready. No, Brenda! Oh, Queen took the wrong path. Single Lurker lines up the shot, snipes it out. And the bio ball still rolling. Hatchery being targeted. Baneling's nowhere close. Picks up and gets out. Both players still... If you covered up the names, maybe you wouldn't think it's Reynor versus Clem, but we're not too far off here. The most notable thing, as I've got so rudely interrupted by these two still multitasking at a ridiculous rate, despite flipping the script, is Clem attacking so often off of creep. So far, he's done 3 or 4 different attacks that were almost entirely off of his creep spread, which is a very rare occurrence at the top level. Probably overestimating the strength of those Lings and Mains, but still finding some success. Rarely does a Zerg player commit to a full-on attack off of creep unless they have something like Lurkers or Vipers to help pry open the defenses. Otherwise, you're mostly limited. Either you're going all in, or you're limited to counter-attacking until that point, until the creep is nearly at their doorstep. But Clem's making good efforts on that as well, but the Ghost count has grown dramatically. He does have the medevacs overhead. I'm not sure if the Ghosts have cloak, and I'm not sure if it matters. A lot of them slaughtered on the front line, and the Banelings are rolling through. Even a Predator drone in there gets gunned down, but the Banelings roll into the mineral line. They split off the main force, and 21 SCVs will not survive this encounter. The Lurkers leading a trail of spines across the field, eviscerating the Terrans, but great split by Reynor. Lines up the shots, knocks out a few more Lurkers, but Clem still has the economy to refill. He's got another couple dozen Hydras popping out. He's retaken the supply lane. He's going to finish +3 Carapace. Did he get adrenal glands? No! A pretty critical mistake. One of the most important upgrades in the late game, and the easiest to forget, especially if you're not used to it. There's no actual visual indicator besides the Lings attacking very quickly. But there's no sort of like shield upgrade or anything like that. You just kind of have to remember to get that upgrade. The Changelings all over the place. Zerglings to the north as well. Ghosts. He's trying to drag the Widow Mine hit, but the Marines and Marauders are killing these units so quickly that the Widow Mine would not lock on. He's just gunning down the Hydras in this fight. And reinforcements come in. Clem severely overestimating the strength of the Zerg army without Banelings or Lurkers. and Reynor easily cleans it up. Not only does he stand his ground, he moves the medevacs away and starts stutter-stepping forward. Very aware of how dangerous those Terran units can be. So now, another couple dozen Banes for Clem. And even though he's had some failed attacks, and he's lost 10,000 more resources, he's also mined 8,000 more minerals. So not the most horrible spot as a Zerg player. It's still taking, every single time I reference their names and then the race they're playing is still taking a very active effort mentally. This is gonna ruin me in the long term, but we'll do it. All right, that's why I'm a professional. Hydra's on the way. Ghost looking for shots. There's not many Lings and Banes with this army. And in fact, the Lurkers have mostly been eliminated. There's only 2 Lurkers left on the field. I'm not sure where they are. Clearly not here. Infestors scattered around. 11 more Lurkers on the way as Clem realizes he could maybe use something with a little bit more stopping power. Oh my. 11 medevacs. The Lurkers are at the 4th base, but in closes the Terran army. He's going to be able to target down a couple Lurkers before they even hatch. More pop out, though, and that should force Reynor to back off. He does so. Actually picks up into the medevacs as there's no real built-in anti-air. All the Hydras on this side of the map became Lurkers. There's only 1 Hydra left. He's filling in more, though. Reynor retreats. A few units sliced up. That is a lot of Lurkers to deal with. There's 14 Ghosts on the field, though not sure where most of them are. Here we are. The entire Special Operations unit has come down from the north side and ready to line up some shots. But Clem has successfully expanded to pretty much the entire half the map. He's lost hatcheries here and there, but still has 84 drones, as well as like 8 bases, so for now, his economy is good, and he can afford to take these sort of losses as long as he eventually denies Reynor from getting some of these center bases. Easier said than done, though, as Reynor has 16 Ghosts, as well as, well, 16 Ghosts should be enough for anyone to be intimidated by the army, but plenty of medevacs. Hasn't built a single Liberator is the real standout here. The siege tank count has been thinned out, but Clem also hasn't built any Vipers. So missing out on that dimension of the game at the moment, but concussive shells finally researched. Wonder what it, when he noticed that those Marauders were not slowing things, but finishes up shots coming in. Reynor flanks with a huge group of Ghosts, and that's still a lot of Lurkers to deal with. But he rebarrels. There's the scans, and a 360-degree surround, or close enough from Reynor. Just cleaves through the entire Zerg army. A Venn diagram scan for good measure, and the Ghosts are enough. 1 drop to the south side forces Clem to pull away, and Reynor with a decisive victory in that battle may be able to carry it through to the entire game. This army is very difficult to break, but Banelings are going to do a great job of it. Oh no! Well, you can hear by the dramatic screams how many Ghosts died there. He lost 13 of them. He was able to pick up a big chunk of the army, but looking away for a moment. And the Banelings close in. But Clem, he lost a bunch of Banelings there, as is their very nature. Meanwhile, some more units. I don't know where these Marines came from, but the medevac count is so damn high. A Spore Crawler takes out 1. I think there was a Ghost or a Marauder in there. And still struggling to find critical damage. But Reynor has a supply lead. He took out... Wait, did he take out any hatcheries? He's only taken out 2 throughout this, which feels low, but there's a Hydralisk burrowed under one of these expansion locations. The medevac, 14 medevacs, but he's now realized that that number is maybe a bit high, and Liberators are in the production tab. These 2, wow. Clem has lost 45,000 resources. Reynor at 30k. So 75, they're almost at the rate of when they play their main races. And I attribute it to slightly less polish here, that they haven't been able to murder each other quite as hard. Because not just losing, but building as many units as they usually do is a skill in and of itself. Clem with near 600 Zerg APM. Reynor with 400, pretty much almost the same as their opponent's regular APM as their main race. But oh my, look at that spread. I can't believe it's not butter. A beautiful position, and the Whittle Mines just chunk up the Zerglings. The Banelings get a bit distracted, and Clem is beaten back as soon as the fight is drawn off a creep. Yeah, a lot of drones exposed, and Clem doesn't have the money to rebuild them. Oh no. It's starting to fall apart. Hydras, Lings, and Banes. 11 drones dead. The creep spread is so far out, though. That Infestor. The Infestor is at the right spot. The only question that remains is it at the right time? The Infestor underneath. The Orbital Command. He pops out the Fungal. Lands on much of the Bio Army. But Reynor has so much more than that. Comes in with another round. Burrows the mines at point-blank range. Fires off the shot. Loses the Orbital Command for dramatic effect. The Reynor is up 50 supply. It's a disaster for the Frenchman as his queens get cut down, and Reynor, living up to his namesake for once, will wield the Terran army to great effect. And again, Clem just getting caught slightly out of position and finding how incredibly strong those Terran units can be if you make any mistakes. Clem's down 50 supply. I'm sure Reynor knows how good his position is, but it's not unthrowable. As a few good Banelings, the thing is Clem doesn't have Vipers. Vipers are usually the way that, even though they don't look like they do a lot, between Parasitic Bomb, usually Parasitic Bomb, but also Blinding Cloud, can really turn a fight. In this case, it'd be more Parasitic Bomb to cut through the medevacs. The Lurkers are stalling things out, but Reynor has 10 ghosts and counting. He has 16 medevacs. The medevacs for all policy looking very strong right now for Reynor. But Clem, turtling on some Lurkers, but he's lost a critical mass of drones. He doesn't really have that late game option. He's just got Lurkers. Never got adrenal glands. Those autumn-colored medevacs. Reynor even enjoying Terran. He's a true Terran, all right? Reynor really quite a chameleon in StarCraft 2. As you know, Terrans do not repair their medevacs until it's far too late or not at all. So, Reynor truly taking that to heart. Really stressing me out with like 12 medevacs below 50% HP. That Hydra spotting a small drop, but Clem doesn't have anything. He's made it back to 175 supply, but Reynor's maxed in banking. Oh my god! It doesn't get much better than that! The most juicy fungal you could possibly have. Usually fungals like that, you have to call in a team of, I don't know, biologists or something. But in this case, he gets a lot closer to evening up the supplies. And the ghosts. Wait, every single ghost died? Well, that is an utter and unmitigated disaster for Reynor. You had one job. The one job. Do not lose every single ghost to one fungal. Unfortunately now, we got a game on our hands. I said the game was not unthrowable, and I'm glad I hedged my bets. Though I could not anticipate exactly how ridiculously effective it would be. Now, Clem has only brought it back to about even. He has cut completely out of Reynor's lead, but Reynor does still have that huge amount of medevacs. He can still build ghosts. He has still some mining. But importantly, Clem has retaken the center bases. He's rebuilt. Actually, I don't think he rebuilt any drone. A natural, attacked by all these non-adrenal Zerglings. The ghost will cloak. Another medevac comes in. 3-3-3 upgrades for Clem. 3-3 for Reynor with +2 plating for the pretty much exclusively medevacs and mines. Lurkers sneaking into the corner. This planetary getting dangerously low, now burning. I don't know if Clem has repaired anything this game. Has not set any units to repair the medevacs or the planet. Is that planetary still burning? He's not repairing the planet. Okay, he noticed. But there's another infestor waiting for its opportunity. And if there was ever going to be one. Oh, the scan, he spotted the infestor. He just scanned it, he just assumed. And it's a strong assumption, but why not? He only has 3 orbitals, which is less than you're used to seeing at this stage. How many infestors left on the field? 0. That's not very many. No banelings here, though. A couple lurkers. Banelings rolling through a bit late. Lines up some shots. Fighting retreat from Reynor. A lot of the ghosts on the front line, though. With not too many lurkers, they're not needed so badly. Lurkers eviscerating the SCVs. The orbital command badly bruised. He can't really afford to lose any more of those. Oh, he needs that scan desperately. Tries to line up the shots, but they're well covered by the Hydras and Lings. Clem knows how important it is. Single drop over to the left side. Kills a few of the drones. I don't know where he's going now. There was no defense. I think he's just trying to hide from anything that might pick him off while he's looking the other way. And, well, the Bio Army heads up north. This medevac stressing me out so much. It is only 1/4 of the cost of rebuilding a unit to repair. Alright. So, it is always better to repair unless for some reason you will literally never need that unit again. It is cheaper, and it feels good. Like and subscribe. 15 drones dead. I'm not... was that all to the Bio Army in the north? I finally finds the Hydra. 3 orbitals means he's precious low on scans. Clem has retaken the supply lead, though the armies are still incredibly dangerous to each other. The ghost... another orbital dead. Another orbital... Wait, how many orbitals does he... He only has 2. Reynor! And how is it burning? Why does this keep happening? Did he only repair this to, like, you can repair units! Oh, no. That was close. A single infestor from Clem. But, one... Oh. The medevac? Hey, is it gone? I think he killed it. Yeah, he got it. And now there's almost no scans. Where's this orbital even going, Reynor? The income heavily in favor of Clem. Because he has any pretty much at this point. There's like 4 mineral patches mining for Reynor in total. He's transferring pretty much the rest of his SCVs over. And the next fight may very well decide it. Still a lot of lurkers, but the ghosts line up their shots. The infestor! Oh, that's a big hit. And just ripping through everything. Reynor fights back, but the Widowmine is taken down. The infestor just flings a fungal out. And Clem may have snatched a victory from the barrel of defeat as Reynor multiple times walking into the infestors and so many of those units not walking out. Comes in again. The lurkers. Does he even have a scan? He may not. The SCV is having a real tough time. The Marines not doing much better. GG! Clem turns it around. He just takes out. All you have to do is take out every single ghost. Blizzard did it. Clem did it. Why can't anyone else? I rest my case. Well, a dramatic 30 minutes to start things off that I think will set the tone, as neither of these players is going to be perfect as their opponent's race, and honestly that makes for arguably more entertaining gameplay. Oh, Reynor. Just biting off a little bit more. When he finally got onto the creep, that's when things go wrong. Clem off to a 1-0 lead. Zerg undefeated. Again, by the way, shout out to Roddy and Team Basilisk for their big brain bouts. Always putting on something a little bit different than your run-of-the-mill and still amazing and very enjoyable regular matches. But usually try to have something a little bit different. And these two, so in their match at Star Zagora just a few weeks ago, apparently they agreed to play random in game 1 of their series. It's just they random the races they usually pick. So, and that was with a $10,000 prize pool. I think maybe a bit more than that even. So, willing to try it out. I do think Reynor overall showed a somewhat stronger grasp of the usual ZVT, like from the other side of it. But Clem, instead of relying on just kind of attrition style, he was forced into finding that one fungal, that one fight. But to his credit, he found it. As Cure has learned so many times, you could never, ever have all your ghosts in one place at one time. Alright. This is the reason why Wild Clem can dominate Cyril and take on Reynor on a regular basis. Terrans will still struggle, both in general, in-game, and also at anything but the bleeding edge, possibly the non-Clem edge. As even 4 Zerglings can be a deadly number when they come across the map way too early, and you have nothing to deal with them. Reynor, in trouble now. He's already lost 2 Marines. He got his command center delayed. The Reaper has to come back across the map because he didn't SCV scout, or at least not early enough to protect his early expansion. So Clem with a casual... What? He's making more lanes. Clem with a casual Zergling rush. The oldest trick in the book. Easily makes it by. Reaper runs around. The command center, very thankfully for Reynor, does complete. So, barely able to finish that off. If he had gotten delayed any further, that's almost a GG right there. Like, having that command center be a minute or two late against a Zerg that has not really been slowed down at all, you're not going to have a good time. Sir? Brenda! Walk on the creep! I'm going as fast as I can. Yeah, you go faster on the creep! Susan, I'm trying my best. Well, your best isn't good enough! Brenda, I'm sorry. I didn't... Well, I meant it, but I didn't mean it so harshly. Thank you. Sorry, I blacked out for... Overlord goes down. The Ghetto Viking. A single medevac with 4 Marines in it. And the Marines have to come back to save the Hellions, which are having a remarkably tough time against 4 Zerglings. Clem making a mountain out of this particular molehill. Getting so much done with so few Zerglings. As Reynor is forced to come back yet again. And what if I just kept building Zerglings, said Clem. And it keeps working! There's only 1 Marine in there. The SCVs are pulled off. He actually gets onto the Marine. And the medevac comes back again! And it's just going from bad to even worse here. Reynor struggling to get anything going, whereas Clem with just a handful of Zerglings. I'm assuming you can fit like 8 Zerglings in your hand, which... Big hands. But with just a handful of Zerglings, able to get so much done. Baneling nest on the way. And he knows there's a medevac full of Marines coming. That's really all there is at the moment for Reynor, who's had such a tough go of it to start. The Zerglings wrap around on the Marines, just not enough of them. Now the Queens will come in and ask that medevac to leave violently. Couple Evo chambers on the way. Reynor, once again, going for the +1 infantry weapons. They're going to have that a little bit quicker, but only 1 engineering means that Clem could catch up on upgrades, especially as lair tech kicks in. He already has a lair done, so Baneling speed begins. +1 melee. Cancels it for +1 carapace. We'll see if he gets +1 melee alongside. I don't see why you wouldn't. There it is. But interesting, he's prioritizing the carapace. Zerglings at the gates, but more than enough Marines behind him this time. Another drop attempted. Just going to be at the edge of the creep, as Reynor really struggling to get any damage this time around. Not starting with a bit of a lead, but instead already at the point where any mistakes could be fatal. 3 medevacs loaded up. And now it's time to drop the base. Queens, take offense to that. Get off my creep! No. A few Marines left behind to cover the retreat, and also because there were not enough lifeboats. 9 Queens out there. 15 drones on the way for Clem, who's already at 70. So that is quite a... Raider's only had 45 SCVs, and he's only lost a handful of them, so he's pretty much all in at this stage, whereas Clem is going to have arguably too many drones, even if this was a full-on macro game. The Banelings are just rolling into the natural. Reynor supply blocked. A few Banelings will make it into the mineral line. And, well, again, Clem finding an opportunity. 5 SCVs dead. It could be worse. Gonna do a siege tank push from the Reaper Cliff. Reynor really using the terrain for Terran. Hive tech's on the way now for Clem, but it's a long way off dealing with this. A couple Vipers would certainly help, but the Queens, plenty of transfuse. Zerglings wrap around. And the medevacs. Ooh. One of them taken down. Most of the Marines as well. A few Marines just wandering across the map in the conventional fashion. By that I mean legs. Liberators now looking to cover this, though. Reynor, I think this was the objective from the start. This sort of multi-pronged cliffside tank push. It's just Clem has done so much to slow it down. And speaking of slow down, I believe he forgot his 2-2 upgrades for quite a bit and will be significantly delayed. And now Reynor, despite how mediocre his economy is at home, well, he's doing this. Cliffside tank push. 2 siege tanks. Doesn't target the Banes quite in time to prevent them coming up. I don't think it would have been enough either way. Huge counterattack, but the Marines are gunning down the Queens. And, well, Zerglings in the natural. Engineering bay taken out. Queens will hold for now. And 22 SCVs dying. Ultraless Cavern and Vipers on the way. Reynor has a great position. The Queen line is holding for now. This is an immensely difficult spot. And despite how horrible the situation is at home, Reynor might just be able to break through using the double-pronged tank push. The siege of the Liberators and the tanks combined, gunning down more Queens. He will force the French Revolution on Clem, whether he likes it or not. The Vipers do have energy. He had to get to Vipers to dislodge this, but he does have them now, and that helps out immensely. The Vipers will be able to pry out the most important parts of this push and leave the Marines exposed. So I think Clem has a... Wait. I think that tank is stuck. How did you... Help me, step vac! The medevac dropped it in here, and now it can't get out. Well, that's... Well. Queen takes out a Liberator as well. Reynor gonna try it again. But this time with less units and a worse situation in upgrades. The Vipers are in position. The Zerglings will be kept from taking down the rocks, but there's a lot of Banelings. Vipers have way too much energy for Reynor to even hope to deny them. Blinding Cloud and Abduct. Parasitic Bomb on them. No, 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 no! Oh, it's bad. Clem now with double the supply. It's a disaster. Reynor never really got started here, and Clem has been going on all cylinders. 200 to 100 supply. Gotta try to sit back and turtle up, but he doesn't have ghosts. He's got 30 SCVs, and you can't even really pull the boys on this map. I guess you could, but... and go through the mineral wall. But another wave of the Lingbane. It comes in, and the SCVs won't be going out. So, oh my. That's a lot of Zerg. Blinding Cloud, Parasitic Bomb, and GG. Clem already on match point as he just runs the table. Well, a decisive victory. A Pyrrhic one in game one, but now easily dispatching. Well, he started off so strongly. The Zerglings just completely interrupting whatever Reynor was trying to do in the early game. And while that push, if Reynor had, let's say, magically waved a wand or a sniper rifle and deleted those Zerglings and was able to do that push, I'm not sure if Clem can hold that. Well, he fixed the mistakes. He got his hive in such a quick and timely manner that he had more than enough tech to deal with the tank push. If he doesn't have Vipers and Reynor has a better economy, I do wonder why we don't see that much. Reynor doing the theoretical Terran, where using the terrain to such ridiculous advantage with siege tanks and liberators, the dual-pronged siege push. But he just didn't have enough at home. And maybe that's why we don't see it as often. Is focusing so much on the other side of the map means the home front usually gets neglected. Clem with a spawning pool already on the way, so not interested in slowing things down. I think he knows how close he came to losing on site Delta and is not looking to drag it out to that point. Most players, most Zergs, are less than enthusiastic about playing a extreme late game against Terran, especially a Terran with dozens of ghosts. I do think that was some of the inspiration for this particular matchup here, as Reynor has always been quite open about his... didn't he submit something to Hearthstone complaining about ghosts and battlecruisers? Something like that. Is it Imba or do I suck? Says arguably the second best Zerg player in the world. But so far, he hasn't been able to find the same success that has been had against him. And it really does. Terran disproportionately punished for small mistakes. But able to recover surprisingly well. Okay, I gotta phrase this correctly. Small mistakes can turn a fight. But Terran has a lot of backstops to change the game. Between orbital commands with mules, with medevacs, and pretty much everything about them, able to pick up units nearly instantaneously, and then boost away, and also heal those units, there's a lot of comeback potential. But at the same time, when push comes to shove, comes to Banelings rolling in, it doesn't take very long for it all to fall apart and just not give you the time to put it back together. So, it is quite high risk, but incredibly high reward as well. Zerg is a bit more forgiving. Bit more forgiving. When both players aren't as perfect. Lings and Banes against a perfectly controlled Marine Ghost army look quite sad. But when you line things up and just roll over, most Terrans really struggle to take cost-effective fights without dropping the ball somewhere else, at the very least. Hellions on the way. Reynor returning to the most standard staple Terran build. The Destiny Cloud Fist, the 111, the Barracks, the Factory, the Starport, and Cloak Banshee on the way. Hellion Banshee has been a staple of Terran versus Zerg for over half these players' lifetimes. Though usually on the other side of that story. 16 Zerglings in production for Clem. Very early to be building such a huge amount of them. Usually Queens are the baseline defense, though he didn't have any to deal with the Hellions outright. Think wants to prevent any losses to Hellions just running in and incinerating his entire economy, which he has inflicted on Reynor in the past. Not infrequent. The Queens. Sir, this is the Hatchery Owners Association. Do you have a permit? No? Well, the penalty is death! Okay, Terran, oh my god. Jesus. Don't you mean Overmind? No, it's Kerrigan now. Oh, well, whatever. No. Sorry. Well, the Hellions did not go well. Clem with more than enough Zerglings. He baited him in, and, well, clearly the Zergling's paying off. Map control severely reduced. Reynor reduced to... I just said that. Reynor stuck with... You gotta be creative. You gotta mix and match your words so it sounds like you got a big brain in these big brain bouts. Even though all words mean... All words mean similar things. Okay, that was done. Maybe sometimes it's better not to speak. You hear that, Susan? Sometimes. Wow, Reynor's scanning to see if there's an overseer on the way as the Queens meander back towards the creep. Second Banshee did a lot of damage to the fourth base, but Clem's still at 60-something drones, and Reynor does not have his third command center. Landed at his third. So, not able to compete economically, at least for now. Clem not running away with it, but with more than enough economy to pump out the Lings and Banes and continue to tech up. Well, Banshees wander a little close, but the Creep Tumor actually spotted them. And the Queen's more than ready. Clem setting up a counterattack. Some Banelings morphing. Zerglings looking around. Nothing there. Hellions set up well and starting to build a supply depot wall as well to zone these out. Banshees clear up a couple tumors. Infestation pit on the way. Banelings! Well. And they're gone. The Marines hunt them down. Hellions taken out, but much better the Hellions than the entire mineral line. The Zerglings just running past the Marines. They can't run that fast. Those Marines don't miss. Hydra Den on the way. Hive as well. So rushing up towards Lurkers, very likely, is Clem. And Reynor will not have ghosts for a long time yet. 1-1 done. Targets a few of the Banes. Slurps up some of the Marines. One unlucky one left behind to eat a Baneling hit. Dodges back to the high ground, and now 2-2's on the way. Reynor with a slight upgrade advantage. Assuming Clem starts his 2-2 on time. Queen's maneuvering. You can do it. He actually doesn't have the gas. So, every second opening up a wider timing that Reynor could do damage before Hive Tech kicks in. Banshee's trading out with the medevacs, but there is already an Overseer here. Double drop in the center. Clears up more and more of the creep, which has already been pushed back almost to the high ground. Wings and Banes closing in. Pick off a few more. Supplies nearly even. Double medevac looking to hunt down the queens. Siege tanks back at home, backstop against the counterattack. Still just too much Lingbane out there. Good target fire out of Reynor. Trying to slow down the creep spread, but... Is he going for the Octo Rex? No. It is a 2-factory. Double Tech Lab factory. Mass siege tanks. So no Ghost Academy, but a whole lot of siege tanks, which are good enough against especially non-Hive Tech upgrade lurkers. And siege tanks are good in general, but a little bit more vulnerable. And he is getting +1 mech weapons as well, investing even further into the tanks. Four lurkers. And interesting, he's going for lurker burrow speed. Drilling claws first. Or adaptive sorry. Drilling claws for Reynor. For his mines, and adaptive talent for Clem's lurkers. To do, well, something very similar. The lines are drawn. There are 4 sensor towers, creating a sensor blockade that Clem will not be able to go by, at least by anything that isn't already burrowed. Adrenal glands on the way. He's discovered it. I don't know if it was pointed out to him after game 1. Did he? Site Delta. Wow. We've been here a while. I'm losing it. My brain's still melting from the fact that they're playing their opposing races, and also the fact that Reynor is called Reynor, which should have made sense, but over the years made less sense, and now makes sense again, which doesn't make any sense. But if you'd like me to make more sense, make sure to like and subscribe. And now there's a hatchery, at least being queued up by Clem. He's got 5 Banelings on the ramp as well, coming down a single angle, though, into siege tanks. I don't know, Kev. Not sure that's the correct count. The field runs red. 79. Oh my, and he scans up. 79 Zerglings and 11 Banelings for nothing. So, I don't think that was a great trade for the Frenchman. So, maybe he'll try it again just to make sure. What? Reynor just shot his own Marines. And it looked like he fired siege tanks at him, too. He's trying to replace them with ghosts without actually throwing them away. Wow. If Clem won't kill my units, I'll kill my units. I need to free up supply for better units. The life of a Marine is quite rough. It's pretty hardcore. Usually you'll sacrifice a few of those 80-something SCVs first. But we're still so early on, even the main base isn't mined out yet. So, Reynor going full Turtle Terran. Just hardening his shell as Clem hardens his carapace. +3 carapace on the way. Planetary Fortress! That is a whole lot of lurkers. He was actually trying to mine from this base. But... oh, Banshee's finding opportunity. Coming back in, killing off some of the drones. And Clem concentrated at the front. The lurkers, there's only so many bases on this map. If Clem wants another one, this has to be... he's killing more of his Marines! This is heresy. Also, there's a base down here as well, but... it feels wrong. You at least throw them into a fight they cannot win. and replace them with ghosts. But technically, it's faster to just shoot your own units, I guess. The units lost is really weird in this game. Reynor has lost, according to the units lost, which I think only counts when the enemy kills them, 9 Marines and 7 Hellions, and he's killed 163 Zerglings and 26 Banes, which is quite a KD ratio. So Reynor has successfully killed more of his own Marines than Clem has, leaving us in kind of an awkward situation, to say the least. Now there's 13 ghosts on the field, and he just discovered that Clem was expanding here. But the siege tanks from around the corner. I don't think Clem's getting either of these bases. There's already some more command centers lined up. Feels like Reynor truly embraced the Turtle Terran at this stage. He hasn't bothered with much in the way of drops. He hasn't really moved out. He's just building. Well, really embracing it includes shooting your own Marines in the face. So, oh my, lines up the shots. Clem has a lot in the bank, but Reynor's also banking money. A natural. And that reminds Reynor to build a planetary there. He is literally just walling off the entire map. All he needs to do is secure the center location. He has planetaries at every choke point. He has a wall off in most spots. Planetary to the south would lock down this entire corner of the map. Siege tanks on multiple angles. Are there any Vipers? No. And a Widow Mine? Oh my. No. Sit down. It's now 12,000 to 3,500 resources lost. Reynor finishes 3-3. Is he gonna play this entire game only losing less than 10 Marines while going for Mass Marine? Now, let's see if Clem has a unique and original idea for dealing with this sort of unit composition. The sort of unit composition that Clem is such a master at playing. Reynor should know that's not real. He doesn't have Marines. Did he get one of the Novas? There's like a 1 in 100 chance that one of the ghosts with this skin is actually Nova, with like her blonde hair and her helmet off because plot armor protects her. But I don't think so. Not yet, but we might get an opportunity by the end of this. Keep an eye out. Snipes out the lurkers. Some Marines will die in the more conventional fashion. Many of them badly bruised. A lot of internal bleeding. 6 command centers on the way. 3 Vipers for Clem. The standoff will continue. Reynor has completely given up on any sort of aggression that doesn't involve retaking these bases. The Queens, they tried to transfuse a bit, but it's not nearly enough. There's now 14 ghosts, 13 siege tanks. Scanning, of course, Clem has all the bases. He's already taken his half the map. The sensor tower count is redonkulous. He's got 8 of them. So... well, here we are. How many orbital commands? 5, but I think that number is about to grow. He's building 1. He's finishing more command centers. Now he's got more CCs than an annoying corporate email chain. He's got planetaries, a whole solar system of them. He's got orbitals. He already used that same joke. Industrial revolution of factories. More turrets than tower defense. Clem has more money in the bank. We're just gonna mine it out. Well, there's entire legions of changelings. The siege tanks are lining up so many shots. He will take out the planetary I don't think that, oh, he's cleaning up. Did he even spot the infestor? Did it wander into... Another bloodless victory for Reynor, as buildings don't show up on the battle report. So he loses a planetary, but he kills over 60 Zerglings and half a dozen Banes. Let alone the Banes that were actually used to kill the planetary. So Clem... This feels very spiteful from Reynor, but also effective. He's completely locked down and decided to turtle left. No attempts to win otherwise. But EMPs, another command center is taken out. Clem has 14,000 minerals. He has 7,800 gas. But he's lost 18k resources to 6k so far. So, even having this bank isn't necessarily the ticket to victory. I'm very interested to see if Clem has, well, so far it's what we're used to see, which is the Vipers, the Hydras, the Lings, the Banes, in some attempt to carve open and deny economy. And he has to choose a place to fight. It's gonna be this base. Trying to get the command center. Yanks in a tank. Another one. That just brings it closer to the fight, though. Yank, come with me! Unfortunately, that will cost him a few more Hydras. Well, I mean... it could have been worse. He got some things, which is better than no things. Wow. This feels like a very cathartic moment for Reynor, though. Like, yeah, Clem, watch me build engineering. I murdered 50 of my own Marines to build this army. I've had no intent of moving out since the 10-minute mark. Alright. I have planetaries and orbitals. I can map hack for the low price of extra APM. He has 11 orbital commands. And he has no shame. More scans than a Costco checkout. He's got more mules than Don Quixote. Hey, were there donkeys in that one? I think there are donkeys involved. That was a good joke. Like and subscribe. Speaking of good jokes, look at the ghost count. Queen Brenda, no! Oh, we got the engineering base. Well, oh my god. He just unleashes a solar flare. You like that? Oh, you like that? Reynor now has a solar flare of orbitals. Yeah, I'm surprised. I think he's just been inspired to build some nukes. Just launches. You should make a few more turrets. How many turrets? What's his TPM? His turrets per minute. 39. All right, 5 more on the way. So his turrets per minute is now nearing 2. I'm trying some more. The turrets, of course, taking out Overseers and Vipers, as well as denying any sort of dream of ever burrowing. It takes out a Viper with a missile turret, so Clem's tip was indeed good. The Hydras get some revenge. More scans. Clem is... yeah, well... I feel like the game's being played on the minimap a little more than it is actually on the field. Reynor now realizing he has far too many SCVs. aka more than like 12 at this stage. The boys are... I appreciate how Reynor murdered his own Marines to hide that he was freeing up supply, but now at this point, he's willing to send the boys in piecemeal for the most dramatic effect. Clem sends the drones across. Fair play. They get incinerated immediately. But what else are you gonna do? Thor is in production. More drones. Does he have the building? Of course he has the building upgrades. +3 mech weapons. Only +2 plating for Reynor. And the wall of engineering base. He's got a dozen orbital commands. Another volley. Are you gonna attack me at some point? Maybe. What if I just chill? Do it. I'm chilling since minute 1. It's only fair. You get some chilling time. Ah, but the time for chilling has passed. Oh, Clem. A taste of the Terran medicine. The Thor. Why? Well, he gives him a free Thor, which is quite a donation. Reynor actually does kind of set up something resembling an attack. Clem takes that as an opportunity. EMP lands on the entire ramp. The siege tank. Oh, wow. 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 At least, I guess at least he attacked. All right, let's watch it all in slow motion. Clem falling prey. Don't you know you're supposed to build 34 broodlords, desperately try to fungal ghosts, and abduct 1 unit at a time for the next 20 minutes, Clem? But he decides no. He decides death is a stronger choice. So, Clem, with 14,000 minerals and 8,000 gas in the bank, at least he gives it a half-hearted attempt to come up the ramp. But Reynor gets a technical victory, and he's on the board in the most Terran possible fashion. So, some credit there, where credit is indeed due. We're going Alcyone. I think Reynor has settled on a strategy. I think it's going to be up to Clem to prevent him from executing it again. Of course, Ghost River. Appropriately, one of the best maps for that sort of turtle strategy, but it is certainly not the only one that it's a plausible option. As I'm sure both players are aware, Reynor probably more than his opponent. I did suspect, based on the way he was scanning, it wasn't just to scout his opponent's army, but instead to demonstrate a point. And that point being that for a relatively low investment of 550 minerals in an orbital command, which, let's add it up, let's extrapolate, times 10, 5,500 minerals. I did that math all in my head. Which is less than the cost of even a late-game army in just in minerals. You can effectively scan the entire map all the time. It takes 5 orbital commands in order to, if you use 1 scan when 1 runs out, always have a scan. So if you have 10 orbital commands, now I'm going to do this math in my head too. 2 scans. Now, you'd be like, mules, though. Well, when the map has like 7 mineral patches left, and you have 12,000 minerals in the bank, mule's not as important. So, there is that to consider. But now, Clem just needs 1. I wouldn't be surprised to see a roach timing or something along those lines. I think Clem I'm not actually sure where it went wrong, but you can't fail any attacks. Unless you're willing to play that ultra late game. Reynor wanted to pull a Clem on that one. Unless you're willing to play that ultra late game, and I don't mean ultras, I mean pretty much anything else. A single failed attack as Zerg can set Terran up for that turtle situation, which is by no means just a free win. But it's certainly not an easy win for the Zerg if they're fully committed. As Clem, I'm sure knows, but now experienced in the most emotional fashion. Really? Oh my god! Bounces the queen, but looking the other way as the Zerglings come in, so even though we got the creep tumor, I'm not sure it was worth it as the Zerglings again find an opportunity to undercut Reynor's early economy. 3 SCVs dead, and he has to drag the Hellions and the Reaper back. So the creep spread will be untouched from this point, or at least early on. Banshee on the way as the queens. Eventually. Well, did somebody get in the way? Ah! Simmer down! Everyone, chill out! Okay? Alright? The entire last game, the Terrans were chilling. It's our turn. Okay, Brenda, whatever. Hellions at the watchtower. And just burning out the Zerglings. Not much to do against them besides deflect with the queens. Maybe try a flank. Last game, Clem managed to pick him off, which kind of threw Reynor into this turtle mode, where he never escaped from, but that didn't end up mattering. Zerglings. Caught by the rest. That's a lot of Hellions. He's got 9 of them. I assume he lost 1. Usually they come out in packs. In pairs, rather, like Zerglings. The Evo Chamber and Engineering Bays had similar timings. As the Hellions, whoop, almost incidentally killing a creep tumor. And we're back to a relatively standard early mid game. We got Ling Bane with, I'm assuming, double upgrades momentarily against Marines, soon to be Medivacs, and Reynor opting for the double engineering bay at the same time. So less of a sharp early game pressure and more just keeping up and ideally, as time goes on, getting ahead of the Zerg and upgrades and finding timings off of that. Hellions still going. Creep spread, still a struggle for Clem, despite having a bit of extra space to work with. Reynor slaps down 5 more barracks as he sprints towards the Octo-Rex. So this will not be turtling the mass siege tanks, but instead trying to max out with as many Marines as possible, as quickly as possible. Yes, he will have siege tanks, make no mistake. But the main focus will be having so many boots on the ground that no amount of Zerg can contest them. Keeping control of the creep. As long as he can keep it maybe 1 scan outside of the bases, he's going to be in a great spot as he launches his attack. Now, I'm talking more the 2-2 timing, not just with 1-1 here, as the barracks won't be fully online until he's working on those +2 upgrades, which he does need an armory at some point. Ideally sooner rather than later. Round of Banelings on the way. First set of Medivacs comes out. Hydralis. in production. Banshee spots a Zergling counter. And there should be enough Marines to deal with it. Reynor launching his first attack. Just trying to keep control of the situation, keep Clem at bay, maybe take a good fight, but staying right at the edge of the creep. If Clem steps off of it, it's going to be very hard for him to take any fight, let alone a cost-effective one. A lot of Zerglings on the field now. Creep getting delayed somewhat. And clearly, Reynor just wants to go straight down the middle. Picks up the siege tank, gonna jam it into a little corner. Always gotta have their back to something to minimize the chance of being surrounded. Both players, 183 supply on the dot, but Clem just made another round of Zerglings to max out. Those tanks are jammed in, 2-2 on the way. For Reynor, still pretty far off. The Evo chambers, one of which is upgrading that +2 carapace, vulnerable to this potential push. Reynor sending another round of reinforcements. It looks like he's ready to press the issue. He has 76 Marines against 113 Zerglings right now. Clem with a big counterattack, but the Banshee is in position to spot this. Not for long, as the Hydra is getting closer, but they don't have speed done, so the Banshee can outrun them barely. Queens on the front lines. Single siege tank at the back. Clem, those Evo chambers feeling a bit exposed at this stage. They're a decent distraction, but losing the upgrades would be devastating. Clem trying to come in with the Ling Bane. There's a single Reaper at the watchtower, though, and Reynor will spot the attempted flank before it hits. And now the Hellbats are moving into position to box it out. Here comes Clem. Hydras, Lings, and Banes from all sides. Siege tanks getting good hits. Queen's coming down. The Marines splitting and stimming. The siege tanks will be taken out, but there's still so many Marines left over. Oh, that tank in the corner helping out a lot in thinning out the Banes. And the Queen, no! Oh no, a King Henry of Queens is cut down moments before +2 carapace is done. And Reynor is just tearing through him. He desperately transfuses the upgrades, but a valuable lesson was learned. Well, several at this point. On fighting off of creep, Evo chamber placement, and how good siege tanks are. 2-2 not even done. Reynor splits back again. Another round from Clem. He had a good economy, but textbook Marine splits. As he easily mitigates the damage. It's like one more Baneling left, but now 2-2's completed. Reynor has the army supply lead, and I don't think there's any turning this tide around. Reynor will be tying things up and bringing us to a Game 5. Evenly matched yet again. These two facing off. It doesn't matter. Terran or Zerg. Next, we need them to play Protoss versus Protoss, though. That's always a bit of a disaster, just by its very nature. But Reynor with some really just rock-solid Terran in the last couple games, and Clem unable to match up against it with his Zerg. Feels like Reynor has really solidified it. I just said rock-solid. I'm trying to... We already talked about words. With words. No, moving on. Clem needs something to throw him off. Site Delta, it was the Infestor usage. Maybe it wasn't expected, but the timing was just so perfect. On Amphion, it was constant Zerglings. The last couple games have been some textbook Terran against just not quite enough Zerg. You can't rely on the conventional ground army to be enough against the efficiency of Terran. As Clem... learning again and again. I will say, though, as expected, both of them with ridiculously good macro. A few hiccups, but easily top gram. I would not be the least bit surprised if for some reason they were forced to play a different race. For some reason in tournaments. Just wanted to be anonymous or something. They would easily be at least top 16 material. Especially Reynor, if he focused on it. Protoss is probably already top 16, but... At multiple points, Clem has been the #1 Protoss on the European and especially the North American ladder. Then again, the first on the North American ladder is usually a stomping ground for... Historically, it's been either partying while heavily intoxicated. More heavily than usual. I mean, there's a baseline amount in them. Or whatever other pro player decided they want #1 on NA. Usually not an NA player. Occasionally Scarlet. Rarely under her name, but usually something like Protoss fan or something like that. Wow. Reynor using the SCV bully trick against him. Brings the SCV to block the third hatchery from the drone until the Reaper comes across to make it a much more deadly situation. A classic and infuriating tactic. Queen eventually ambles out of the way. Zerglings not quite in time to cut off the Reaper. And, well, Reynor off to a perfectly good start. Clem, not like he's taking any real damage here, just emotional damage from that Reaper. Alien Reaper. Reynor definitely sticking to the more standard builds now. Looks like I feel like he had some kind of crazy ideas, but I still want to see how that Amphion game would have gone if Reynor didn't take so much damage to like 4 Zerglings. I feel like especially Terrans, not exclusively, but especially Terrans don't use the map as much as they could. Especially maps like Amphion. Though, it is a very common thing to see Terrans assaulting like a Reaper wall, or finding a spot for Liberators, but doing a full-on push from an almost untouchable position is something that I'm surprised isn't used even more often. Then again, Zergs adapt, and that's part of the reason you don't see those sort of pushes is sometimes the best answer is just counterattack and kill all their workers. Unfortunately, Clem's counterattack killed 1 SCV. Actually, I think that may have been the scouting SCV. I'm not sure if he even got the one in the mineral line. Hellions working on the queens. Pops one to the side. Brendan, no! Is there no transfuse energy? Every queen below 50 energy. They've all been working hard on the creep. Seems like a bit of a vulnerability. Double NG Bay, double Evo. Where did Clem put the Evos? Alright, slightly safer location. Not much safer, but slightly safer. Third command center is done. Reynor winding up into that standard mid-game Terran. We got Marines on the way. Stim. +1 infantry weapons and... Sorry. And... Yeah, double engineering bay. But we'll get there. Not starting the armor yet. Clem. Have his upgrades momentarily. The Queen's really struggling. Oh no, another one isolated. Well, barely survives, but the Queens are on the wrong side, and the Liberator on the high ground. Oh no, the Queen's completely out of position to help deal with this. Loses 7 drones to the Liberator. That Spore, another Spore, meandering around, but Reynor using the high ground above the base while the Queens were distracted by the Hellions. The Hellions did all die, which... subpar, but considering the amount of drones he was able to kill and how much time he bought with that Liberator, I think it was worth it. Ideally, you don't also lose all the Hellions, obviously. And if he loses anything at the third, it's going to become a lot tougher. But Reynor within 6 SCVs, starting a second factory. So we're going back to that much more defensive style. Siege tanks kind of lend themselves to it. Hydralisk den's on the way for Clem. No infestation pit yet. Reynor hunting. Just taking this angle, I think, looking for both overlords and any counterattacks that Clem might be lining up, as he isn't currently at the strength to move out with his full army. So, doing his best with what he can. Creep spread looking pretty good so far. And Reynor, very aware of that, will move to deal with it. Couple good targets and slurps up all the Marines. Gets out, heads to the corner. Another drop headed towards the north. The old double-double. $16 Marines and 2 medevacs. A potentially game-ending force in the right hands. And Reynor with 2 sets of them. Hands or medevacs? Both. Oh my. Target fire a little off the mark, but still enough. And where are the drones dying? I think the Liberator came back in. I assume, wait. Oh my, I didn't even see it. And apparently neither did Clem. At least not until he lost 11 drones. That Liberator finding a spot. The danger of the Liberator, if you're not used to dealing with it, is it just kills your workers instantly. By the time you're reacting to it, you're already losing workers because it one-shots them. So the alerts on it are usually a bit late for when you need them in order to respond. You really have to be very proactive against them. Speaking of proactive, though, Reynor jams those tanks onto the high ground with the medevacs as a hefty bio ball behind. So many Marines, but he's slightly off the creep. And that little bit of extra breathing room is all you need. The double drop headed north as well. Still a lot of Marines left over. Gonna be able to gun down. Looking for the Queen. Picks up. Siege tank still in position. Infestation pit is done, but Hive has not begun. Clem remedying that now. Another couple dozen banelings. Two more siege tanks dropped out with the medevacs. Sped into the fight. 4 siege tanks lining the high ground. Clem just going for a huge counterattack, flanking this location almost impossible. Gonna try to roll it around. There's not that much back at home though. More siege tanks sieging up. The medevacs kind of caught out. There's banelings trickling through, but multiple siege tanks. The rest of the army is coming back. Who's flanking who? The Marines are chasing down the banelings off a creep. The siege tanks obliterating the Queens as they stray into it. But Clem is refilled with 50 more Zerglings. And another round. The Marines standing their ground and gutting down the Banes. Not protected by the Lings. Easily taken out. Doesn't even need the target fire. And Reynor opens up a 25 supply lead. Definitely brought back a few too many units from the front. But Clem did not jump on those tanks in time. He's got 3 Vipers on the way. He needs them desperately. He hasn't actually taken big economic hits yet. But Clem did not get +2 melee attack, and he hasn't started +3 either. There's +3 Carapace. Finally, he heard me. Meanwhile, Reynor also hasn't started those 3-3 upgrades. Been trying to maintain the 200 supply, but he's there now. And really try to drive the point home. Starts 3-3, starts a Ghost Academy. There is no other Hive tech for Clem. No adrenal glands, no sort of ultras or brood lords or lurkers. Now, Lings, Banes, and Hydras can get the job done. It's just Reynor has been quite effective with the more conventional Terran army. It's only getting better. Clem really trying to hold on to this hatchery. He doesn't need it at this stage, but it'll leave him with just a singular base on the outside of his first 3 in order to rely on. And that just makes it a much easier target for Reynor to focus on. Backs off siege tanks across the board. How many tanks on the field? He's got 7 of them. That number may change. Vipers. Blinding Cloud on a couple tanks. He yanks down another. The Marines are being overrun. The medevacs are almost nowhere to be seen. The Banelings are rolling in and crushing through. And the Hydra's behind him, able to pick off anyone who sticks behind. More command centers on the way, and Reynor has now lost a fight decisively. Clem, he lost a few battles, but his economy is incredibly good. And he can wind up again and try to get something done before the ghost count gets out of hand. The sensor towers are coming up. The command center count is growing as Reynor appears to be settling in. He hasn't turtled this whole game, but he's hardening his shell yet again. $93 SCVs for Reynor, which is probably too high, but here come the Vipers. EMP lands on one. He still has another. Blinding Cloud's looking pretty good, but the army's somewhat strung out. The Marines holding their ground, able to turn it around. And now 3-3 will be finishing for Reynor. +3 Carapace for Clem, but he still doesn't have adrenal glands. He's just now getting a lurker den. So Reynor will have a better army composition for a while yet. Eight lurkers on the way. +3 infantry weapons and armor completed. Ugh, exhausting. Three more ghosts. I don't know if he's killed off any of his own Marines this time. Viper count. He's got 4 of them with mostly full energy, but EMP can change that quickly. Smart servos on the way for Reynor. Able to transform those Hellbats faster. I think he was pretty close to finding a decisive engagement, but doesn't want to risk the same situation that lost him the game on Site Delta. So is now turtling up. A couple tanks yanked into the lurkers, but the Liberators helping pick off some of the extraneous units. Do the Vipers have enough energy for more abducts? I don't believe they do. But there's still a lot of Hydras underneath. Lurkers are forced back for now. Single lurker remains. Bunch of ghosts line up their shots. Enough get through. Looking for another volley. But again, Reynor, remembering the mistakes made in the past. He had a decisive victory against a seemingly frustrated Clem on Ghost River. And it didn't require him to move past the halfway mark. Pretty much at all, the entire game. So... Seismic spines on the way. Well, completed. Lurker range. And speaking of range, high-sec auto-tracking, as well as building armor. Well, there's a Blinding Cloud. Vipers lining up a volley. Blinding Cloud, good. But the Marines and Marauders behind it, the Planetary bottling up these units. Lines up a few more snipes on the way out. Reynor maintains a very strong supply. And now, a fusion core is on the way. Though almost certainly for advanced ballistics. I'm not ruling out battle cruisers, considering how spiteful Reynor has been. He's played some painful games against battle cruisers on this map. Though, at this stage, there's no reason not to just get those ranged liberators and turtle up even further. Caduceus Reactor, also a great upgrade. Doubled the medevac energy regen. Yeah, well, this game at least, he doesn't have 16 medevacs. Just 6 of them. And making them that much more effective would be incredibly helpful. Multiple planetaries. 5 orbitals so far, but that's just the beginning. Infestor's now on the way, but I don't know if there's a single place on the map, at least near the front line, that Clem could go with those burrowed infestors that wouldn't already be locked down. He's gonna try to strike right through. EMP landed on some, but blinding cloud forces some of the ghosts forward awkwardly. Start of the fight goes okay for Clem, but Reynor lines up another volley and knocks out many of the retreating units. Another +3 mech weapon. I don't know about that hat trick, Clem. I don't think they'll kill it. Won't quite be enough unless he queued up a second consume. Dangerous game he's playing, though. Another Venn scan. He spots the burrowed infestor, so the turret count may grow exponentially. If you have enough orbitals to constantly scan in turrets that literally line the entire map, well, just keeping tabs. He spots one of the burrowed infestors. More planetaries. And now, well, the Vipers yank out a couple of the Liberators. But he lines up a volley. Lost vision for a moment on those ghosts. He's got them all stacked up. Clearly on a single hotkey. Yep, he has got a hotkey for ghosts and not ghosts, it looks like. Wait, does he have a Nova? He has one of the ghosts is different. It's different on the tab. He's got Nova! Oh my god! It's a literal unicorn! Well, I was wondering why it looked different on that tab. I wonder if Reynor's noticed. She just controls like any other ghost. You don't just randomly get a hero unit in the game. Alright, ghosts are pretty much a hero unit on their own. Advanced ballistics now on the way. We gotta keep tabs on Nova. Clem. Nova leads the charge. At this point. Clem. Where are the infestors? He has one. It's on the screen. Oh. Not quite in the fight yet. Reynor has only lost 3 ghosts. There she is. I told you! Would I lie to you? Only if it was more entertaining. Like and subscribe. Well, this is, very fittingly, even more of a campaign mission now from Reynor. As Clem is, he's played this a little more efficiently than Ghost River, but he does have the corner bases. But just missile turrets and siege tanks and ghosts, oh my. A lot of the Hydras are pinned back in the corner, and Reynor, he only has 6 orbitals, which is not the map blinding level that we've seen in the past. There are 21 ghosts. Oh, there's no detection, and he just realized it. Oh my, the Banelings? Nova! Well, actually, Banelings do not do extra damage to ghosts because ghosts are not light units. Fun fact. Nova lived. She's got 6 kills. Badly bruised. Clem killed 2 siege tanks, 2 liberators, a marauder, an SCV, and a mine in the last minute. Meanwhile, Reynor has killed nearly 100 Zerglings, 16 Hydras, that entire base, the drones. So, Clem with 21 more Hydras on the way. All the ghosts, including Nova, have been healed up to full. Oh, there she goes. Another attack by Clem. Into the planetary fortress. As the ghost finally trickling in. Gets the planetary. Those Hydras gotta be careful. Pre-scans to make sure those shots, at least some of them, land. And now, Reynor. Clem kept that base a bit warm for him, but there's a single burrowed infestor. He scans. There's the infestor underneath. The Whittle mines might be enough to take out the Vipers. The ghosts are coming back around. The infestor finds a fungal on a few marauders and then dies unceremoniously. Nova? Alright. The amount of sensor towers is a bit obscene right now from Reynor. I think he's just trolling him with the sensor towers. He has 8 sensor towers, like 5 of them in the same spot. He's up to 7 orbitals, and he's building 4 more command centers, I think most of which will end up as orbitals. Just constantly scanning the entire army, and why not? I don't think he needs the minerals from mules much quicker at this point. Oh, the Vipers getting a little close, and now they get EMP'd. The ghost line. It runs deep. Nova! I don't know if she's okay. The Zerg certainly aren't. She's fine. She's got 10 kills. She's still on the front lines, of course. So maybe if he kills Nova, Reynor will tap out. Otherwise, this is well, we've seen this game before, just with the name slightly swapped. Well, there's actually no other units over here. So the siege tanks will be overrun. They'll kill a lot of the Zerglings in the process. Did Nova live? She did. Still going with the other 20 or so ghosts. Lurkers. Yep, those are lurkers. And Clem manages to push Reynor off one of these bases, and it only cost him his entire mineral bank. Here come the queens, retreating behind the command centers, one of which is trying to become a planetary. We can't always get what we want. Clem's last gasp here. If this fails, he does not have the minerals to perpetuate the attack. Reynor, though, has lost the base on the right flank, and if he loses the, like, 8 o'clock base, then suddenly he's down to just a few mineral patches. So, getting a bit dicey. The ghost lining up the shots. Yeah, there she is. Still only 12 kills, which really feels like rookie numbers. Ooh, Overseers. Tries to transfuse him, which is amusing. 13 more lurkers on the way, so at least he's gonna go out in dramatic fashion. I think Clem has run out of ideas. Even though, well, we haven't seen a single Ultra or Broodlord. We've seen a whole lot of lurkers. The ghosts lining up their shots. Is the detection dead? Oh, Nova lives for now, but the Liberators and the rest, another bio army's coming up. The Queen's caught out. Snipes across the board. And takes down another round. As Reynor resecures the high ground, the lurkers looking to come in again. Oh, the lurkers are getting close. He manages to retreat back. Nova saved by the fact she's out of energy from sniping. GG WP as Reynor locks it down. And with Terran, 3 games in a row, is able to reverse sweep against Clem. Well, a dramatic start, but it feels like Reynor settled down and settled in. And Clem got a bit of a taste of how it feels to be on the other end of the story. I do think Reynor has a lot more experience with off-racing in general, though Clem put on a very solid job. Would easily be a top Zerg if he put the effort in. But I don't think he'll be switching anytime soon. Reynor with a well-deserved victory. Honestly, it could have been the only game it looked like Clem really had a beat on him was on Amphion. Otherwise, Clem playing by the standard Zerg script, whereas Reynor a lot more polished. And had to feel pretty good, that Turtle Terran, which I'm sure everyone will have mixed feelings about this one. I've seen a lot of comments about people complaining about Clem's ghosts and how they snipe everything. Well, thank you again to Roddy and Basilisk for putting on the big brain Bouts. Where does this leave us? Is it Imba? Or do Zergs just suck? Well, I'm sure the debates will continue. But congratulations to Reynor for taking home the match this time. And thank you for watching. Hope I made your day a little bit better. Make sure to check out Big Brain Bouts every Friday night. Rotterdam 08, I believe, is a Twitch channel. But just go on the StarCraft on Twitch and stuff. So, but thank you for being here as well. If you got the means of motivation, it'd be awesome to check out Patreon, YouTube membership. But here, liking and subscribing is still free. At least for now. Thank you for watching. Good luck. Have fun. I'll see you next time. Stay tuned.